Okay, guys, I am seriously behind on getting anything done on the cab over. As I said in some previous videos, I took a part-time job because I kind of got a little bored with retirement. And one of the guys I work with seems to call off every time he, gets a paper cut, a little bit of a headache or whatever. So my part-time job's kind of turned into a full-time job. And then, of course, we just had all the holidays. I've been sick for about a week and a half now. This is actually the first time I've gotten out to the shop in probably 2 weeks. But that being said, I have gotten a few things done, mostly just little stuff. Grind air chiseling rivets off the frame for leaf spring hangers, front and rear. Pulled all the U-bolts, stuff like that. So everything, truck's just sitting here on the axles. I got lucky. I've been waiting for about a month now. A friend of mine has a burn table, said that he would burn all my parts for me, all my chassis parts. So after 4 or 5 iterations of designs of how I wanted to do this and finally coming up with what I liked, he was able to get all my parts burned and actually dropped them off for me this week. So I have a stack of parts over here. I'll show you. He was kind enough to burn all of these parts for me. There's about 78 parts it takes so far to make up how I'm going to do this. Part of the reason it took so long for me to get it the way I wanted is I have this design so that, for example, the rear link brackets on the frame, which is this pile here, everything is mirror imaged. It takes the exact same parts to whether it's driver's side or passenger side. Only thing that'll be different is just the order, the layout of the parts of how they're assembled. And one thing that I learned through many years of designing parts and past lives, all of these parts, if you notice going around the perimeter, everything's got these little notches and that on it. And then like in these plates, there's slots. I have everything designed so that it's tabbed and slotted. So I don't have to lay anything out. I can just put it together and start welding. And I'll be able to fillet weld it and window weld it through the slot on the opposite side. We always called it tab A, slot B. All the major components, front link brackets. This stacks the frame brackets for the front links. These are the axle brackets for the front link bars. This stacks the front airbag brackets for the front axle. These also all bolt onto the front I-beam axle. These are going to be some stiffener plates for the front airbag brackets, and it's also where the panhard bar is going to mount. These are rear bag brackets. The slots on this are just to make it easier to bend these. Rear axle brackets for the 4-link. Because I'm not notching the frame, because this is a truck, my rear frame brackets do hang below the frame a little bit, so I used that as an opportunity to this giant plate here. There's 2 of them. I'm going to make a cross member that's going to go in between those brackets, but this U-notch here also is going to act as a drive shaft loop. So at the bottom of it, there'll be a tube that runs. There's 2 holes here, so there'll be a removable tube that goes in there. So that'll make for, you know, in case you ever snap a U-joint or something, because this is going to be used as a truck, I'm able just to capture the drive shaft instead of letting it hit the ground. So something else that I got accomplished. What else? I still have all kinds of steel laying over here for, there's some brackets that I didn't have made yet. A couple of the panhard brackets for the back. I haven't made those yet. I know what I want to do. They're just simple flat plates that are going to weld into the frame. Like I said, as you can see, I already knocked all the rivets off. Everything's just sitting here. Found a good use for a couple old trailer jacks. They happened to line up with some existing holes in the frame, so I mounted those on there so that I can use that to raise and lower the back of the frame and set it at the height that I want. Truck is way up in the air right now. I have the front bumper sitting on wood blocks just to prop it all up to give me some room. What else? Since I haven't been on, I made all the 4-link brackets are all done and made. All 2x2 1/4-inch wall square tubing. Front ones are adjustable. I got to give a shout out to Ballistic Fabrication. That's where I got all the link ends and these machined bungs that go into the square tube that accept a 1 1/8" threaded rod end. I am not sponsored by them. I bought these parts, but I'm telling you, for the price, they're well manufactured, and those guys really do take pride in their work. All the DOM tubing, all the edges were broke by machining, not just filing the edges. A lot of thought went into their design. The bongs were already clearanced for the weld seam inside the tube. Really a nice product. Like I said, they don't sponsor me or anything like that. If I use a product that I like and would recommend to somebody, I'm going to give a shout out. Other than that, air tanks, I've bought the air tanks. Link bar bolts. A lot of the other stuff is I've just been rounding parts up. Leveling valves, because I'm going to do a 4-corner leveling valve. Pilot valves for the suspension dump. Nothing fancy. Airbags. Shocks. Panhard bars. Panhard bars I didn't make. Those are actually from a 63 to 66 Chevy truck. Aftermarket adjustables. Price was nice on those. There's a quick little shot of my drawings for how I was doing the rears, doing the chassis. That's like an overall roughed in. Here's how I'm doing the front. I-beam axle. There'll be a bolt-on bracket that bolts on where the leaf springs normally went on top. Airbag bracket on the bottom. It'll bolt on. It'll basically wrap the entire front axle. Airbag will be just ahead of the axle. This frame bracket for the 4-link bolts on right where the rear spring hangers mounted originally through all existing holes. There's actually a cross member right behind that for the transmission. Shock brackets I still got to figure out a little bit. I know how I'm going to do it, but I'll have to spacer them from the frame. In the back, yep, typical 4-link like you're used to seeing. The rear axle, I'm putting the airbags behind the axle. 4 lengths. Shocks will be inboard. The frame bracket, this I will have to drill new holes because the factory leaf spring hanger is about right here. I'm running 3-foot long link bars. And then of course that drive shaft loop cross member will be in between it. You can see the drive shafts running through here. Just roughed in. Hopefully now I can start making some progress. I'm supposed to be off this weekend, so I'm going to spend the next couple of days cleaning up all of those parts, just die grinding any slag from the holes from the burn process, because you get a little bit of kerf in the holes, so they're not perfect. You can probably tell by these bag plates. The holes get a little bit wonky, but nothing a reamer won't fix. Gentleman that made these for me did a wonderful job. I mean, he deslagged everything, pretty much sanded all the mill scale off these parts. So all I have to do is just verify bolt hole clearances, make sure all my tabs and slots go together the way I want, and start cleaning, start welding and bending up some brackets. So hopefully in the next week or so, I'm going to start finally doing some work. I'm going to start on the back because I've already got the rear axle set where I want it. It's already, I got bars in there holding it in place. It's already centered on the frame, although, of course, as everybody knows, measure 36 times before you weld it. So that'll be done. Leaf springs are ready to pop off. All I got to do is yank a couple of bolts. All the rivets are knocked off in the front, so all I have to do is pull the leaf springs in the front. Axle's just sitting in it, so that's where we're at. Probably might this weekend go ahead and order my air compressors and a few other miscellaneous parts just so that I have them. That way I can, once I get the suspension in and figured out, then I'll start making some brackets for the air tanks. I think my air tanks are going to go in this pocket. Brake boosters over here. That's probably going to stay, whether I use the brakes the way they are at or start working on my Hydro Boost conversion. So most likely I am going to put my air compressors in this pocket here between the frame rail and the drive shaft. That way they're kind of midship. They'll be covered since the frame has diamond plate on top of it, temporary, and eventually some sort of truck bed. But that's where we're at. So like I said, I'll try to put up a couple extra videos once I get all these parts cleaned up and start getting some brackets put together. I'll take some videos after stuff's done and do another status update. So for those of you that are tuning in to watch, I appreciate it. And stay tuned for the future updates.